There was an article in Tuesday's Guardian that I found quite interesting. Link, of course, up in the sidebar. It was written by Peter Tatchell, a prominent campaigner for gay rights here in the UK, and it covered the topic of civil unions, also known as civil partnerships. The twist in the story is that two people living in London, Tom Freeman and Catherine Doyle, had applied for a civil partnership at Islington Registry Office and were turned down. And the reason for their request being declined is that Tom and Catherine are of opposite gender and therefore cannot enter into a UK civil partnership. In effect, two people who want to register their relationship with the state in order to gain access to the tax and legal benefits that a civil partnership grants are being declined on the basis of their sexual orientation. Tom and Kat aren't standing for this, and they're willing to take their case to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg if that's what's required. Peter Tatchell and Outrage, a lesbian, gay, bi and transgender human rights group, are supporting this bid for equality on the grounds that discrimination against people on the basis of their sexual orientation is unacceptable. Now, if you read the comments at the bottom of Peter's article, you'll see that Tom and Kat's campaign and Peter's support for it have generated some mixed reactions. Discarding the predictable homophobic rants from the social conservatives and the hackneyed "would you let someone marry their child, dog or bookcase," there are also a number of people who consider this to be a trivial matter, that since this couple have the right to marry anyway, they're being petty, protesting at being denied a civil partnership. There are also posters who feel that there are more important things to be worried about than there's some kind of danger in being associated with this kind of campaign simply because it will be viewed as trivial and will be mocked. But I say all power to Tom and Kat. That their sexual orientation should mean they're denied registering their relationship with the state in a manner that they wish is totally unjust, and I hope that they're successful in their battle. The argument that's likely to be used against them is that since the option of marriage is available to them, conveying the same legal rights in the UK as a civil partnership, their human rights are not being violated. And if that comes to pass, I think it makes a very important point, that a civil partnership and a civil marriage here in the UK are exactly the same thing. Now, if that's the case, then there's no valid reason at all why they should not be called the same thing. I've been accused in the past of splitting hairs over this, but I'm going to stick to my guns. In the US, where whites and non-whites were segregated, non-white people were forbidden to drink from the whites-only drinking fountains. They were forbidden to use the whites-only public lavatories. You could argue that this was no big deal because the water that comes from the same main supply, the toilets are plumbed into the same sewers. But there's no difference in the service being offered. But that argument was rejected, the idea of separate but equal, simply because if you have a two-tier system that's enforced in this way, founded on a cultural prejudice, there will be a social stigma attached to one tier, implying that it is inferior, or that the people using it are in some way inferior. And we see this here. Tom and Kat are being asked why they would want a civil partnership when they can get married. The accusation of this is that it's frivolous and a politically correct exercise, a distraction of no importance. That implies that they should prefer marriage, presumably because it's the better option. And that is completely missing the point. Equality is only equality if it applies to everyone. It'd be interesting to see where this one goes.